I get it. Your bags are packed and you're ready to go. And you are just tying up loose ends before you move abroad. But before you do, there's a few things I want to bring to your attention, especially if you'll be relocating with a minor child. And when I speak of a minor child, I mean a child under the age of 18 years old, not a legally recognized adult. So before you relocate, you do have to get this in order so that the law does not see you as absconding with the child, and that the non-traveling parent does not put out an APB saying that you have kidnapped the child. This can happen in many cases, so you want to have documentation in place to prove that you have the authority to travel with this child. So you may have stumbled upon or had to provide these documents in the visa process when you were applying for the visa for this dependent child. But in the event that you do not, it would behoove you to have these documents in place and prepared in case anyone asks for it. Number one, you want documentation establishing your relationship with the child. This could be a birth certificate. This can also be custodial agreement. This can also be adoption papers or guardianship papers or conservatorship papers, proving that you have the authority or that you are the power of attorney for this child. You also want to have a letter of consent. A letter of consent is a document signed by the non-traveling parent that gives you authority to travel or relocate with this child. This letter has to be signed by the non-traveling parent. There's several templates online that you can look up, but you will be responsible for plugging in the substantive information. So in the letter of consent, you want to have information regarding the child, their date of birth, their social security number, their passport number. You also want to have, as well as their name, you also want to have the contact information of both parents, the traveling parent and the non-traveling parent. You also want to have the dates of travel and the flight number and the reason for your travel, relocation to moving abroad, whatever, you plug in the information. You also want to have the letter notarized or apostilled and likely translated into the language of the country that you're relocating to, so that if anything is questioned, it could be accessed in the language of the country. That's a really important step that you want to have. So you want to have an English version as well as a translated version, both notarized and perhaps apostilled. The reason for this letter is twofold. Number one, in the event there's a contentious subject regarding the child, you want to have a legal authority to move with the child. If the other parent that's not relocating with you, if there's any animosity that might come up that may incline that parent to say that you absconded with the child, you have the documentation to show that you have authority and that this parent signed this document giving you authority to relocate with the child. If an APB goes out saying that there's a child missing, you have the documentations to show no, the child's not missing, the child is in your custody. Also, child trafficking is of great concern in the United States globally, and so airlines are really stepping up to make sure that the parent is traveling with the child and not some stranger traveling with the child. So it's the system, it's an attempt to monitor the children that are traveling abroad to make sure they're not being trafficked across international lines. If you have any questions regarding this, please let me know in the comments section. I know it's your child and you should be able to do whatever you want to do with your child, but you do have to follow certain constraints that are to protect you as well as the child, which is why I mentioned them in this video. I do have a moving abroad course where we discuss all of the different aspects of moving abroad, such as this, like custody agreements, how to go about getting that, what other documentation you may need in order to relocate with the child, visa requirements, what to do with your stuff in the United States, whether to get rid of them, sell them, rent them out, We go through all of the things that you need to be thinking about in order to transition abroad. Another issue might be healthcare. If you are struggling with health concerns, you might need a little more assistance regarding finding a country that has really advanced healthcare that can complement your needs. Because if you're relocating abroad, the good news is that healthcare is universal in most countries. There's only 7 countries that do not have universal healthcare. It should comfort you that most of the countries that you're relocating to will provide some sort of healthcare, universal healthcare to you. Some countries are more advanced than others, so that is important to note, especially if you have chronic conditions and chronic disease. If you're interested in coming into my moving abroad container, the link will be in the description box. I also have the Move Abroad course, so there's an opportunity to meet with me one-on-one to have a more tailored plan or to join the Moving Abroad course. Please let me know any questions you may have, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.